Good afternoon, everyone. Allison Scoberg here, Consolidated Planning Group, and we have got the gang all here from Marbridge today, and we are excited to take a deep dive into Marbridge and a whole new life. I know that we've partnered with Marbridge in the past, and we're excited to be back with them. And I myself, I just have to say, I've taken a tour out there, and I would just encourage each and every one of you that are considering Marbridge to do that because it's awesome. And this presentation is going to be wonderful, and they're going to share so many insights with you today. But it all comes together when you go there, when you take a tour and you have feet on the ground and see it for yourself, envision your loved one there, see the other residents. It's kind of a cool experience. So I just wanted to share that with you. For those of you that are joining us for the first time on any of our webinars, welcome. We are so glad that you're here. For those of you that have been attending our webinars for years, we're so glad that you are back. I always want to go through a couple of housekeeping items before we get started. We are in webinar mode today, which means that we can't see you or hear you, but we know you're there, and we are glad that you've joined us today. Our chat box is open, and we invite people to put their questions in the chat box. I had a lot of write-in questions today, and probably more questions than what we will be able to get to today, but we're going to do our very best. And what we are doing today is a little bit different format than what we usually do if you've attended in the past. What we're going to do is we're going to get through the slides today, and we've reserved some time at the end for questions. You can put questions real time in the chat box. We're going to get to them as soon as we can, but the slides are going to answer a lot of our questions, a lot of the write-in questions as we're going through that. So we just wanted to share that with you today. So from a Consolidated Planning Group perspective, who are we? We are a holistic special needs financial planning firm, nationally certified as Social Security advisors, members of the Special Needs Planning Academy, chartered special needs consultants. I am also a parent to multiple kids with disabilities, adult children with disabilities that we've transitioned into adulthood. So what I would say is our firm, we eat, sleep, and breathe planning for a loved one with a disability. We really help people understand how much money do I need to fund a special needs trust. We help answer questions like who's going to care for my child when I'm gone? How do I retire, stay retired, and still have enough money to fund that special needs trust? We're able to help with all of those things. We put protection plans in place. We do lifetime care planning, transition planning. We help open ABLE accounts, and we do a lot of advocacy by way of webinars and our partnerships with other organizations that serve our population. So having said that, we think that when it comes to special needs planning, thinking about these things on who's going to care for your child when you're gone, developing a future care plan now while you're of sound mind and body, not waiting for that crisis to happen, an unexpected death, an unexpected incapacity. We think it's really, really important. Thinking about what we're going to do post high school. What is your vision? Do you want your loved one to live with you for as long as you live? Or do you want to transition them into some residential living environment, kind of, I call it dipping the toe in, kind of, not all at once, where a person has lost their loved one and now they're moving into a place that they've never been before. It's difficult. So we think about touring places, getting on lists. Some of the waiting lists at some of these places could be long because they are specifically filling a spot that is a specific fit for the other residents there. So thinking about these things early on is really, really important. So you guys are in for a real treat today. So having said that, I've got the gang all here from Marbridge, and I'm so happy that they have joined us. And Will, I'm going to turn that over to you, and you guys can introduce yourselves.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Allison. And thank you to all the parents out there. I applaud your efforts and the energy you're putting into planning for your loved one's bright future. It's an important step, and hopefully we'll share some information that might be helpful along the way. My name is Will Hoermann. I'm the Director of Admissions for Marbridge. I've been here for 25 years. Marbridge is a residential training community in South Austin, Texas. We've been here for 72 years, and before I jump into more, I definitely want to thank Allison and our friends at Consolidated Planning Group. They're a fabulous resource. If you're already working with them or if you're thinking about it, you're doing a great job. One thing our organizations have in common is we want to provide peace of mind. We want to provide it to families by knowing their loved ones are in a safe and caring environment. And Allison and her group want to provide peace of mind knowing that your loved ones have a bright future and you've crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, all those fine details to make sure that process is successful. They do a great job of helping families. So we're glad to be part of this. Um, Everyone's going to introduce themselves when they start off to their slides, so you will get to see all my awesome all-star teammates shortly. Today, what we hope to do is introduce you to our community, which is Marbridge. My hope is that you're going to hear something that interests you, and you're going to want to reach out and find out more. We also want to be a resource for you. We understand we can't serve everyone and all the different needs, but we've been here for a while, and we're happy to help you find meaningful connections. If that's what you get, then we're happy to do that. We're going to start off with our history so you can see where we come from and who we are today. We're going to describe our programs and opportunities for engagement. We're also going to try to address your questions at the end, all in under an hour. So we thank you for spending an hour with us. Let's get started with our president, Scott McAvoy, to tell you a little bit about our past and our future.
Thank you, Will. So happy to be here. Allison, thank you and your group for having us on board again. We enjoy reaching out to families. My name is Scott McAvoy. I'm the president and CEO of Marbridge. I've been here for 21 years and have enjoyed every minute of it. When people think of Marbridge, a lot of questions like, how'd you start? How'd you get where you are? So Marbridge was founded in 1953 by Ed and Marge Bridges for their son, Jim. Their son, Jim, was born on the East Coast in South Carolina with a brain injury caused by the delivery of forceps with a country doctor. The Bridges knew immediately that Jim was going to need extra help and supervision, wasn't meeting the developmental milestones. So from day one, they tried to cobble together an educational environment, an environment where he could learn, experience, and achieve things. But back then, when people with disabilities were kind of brought through the schools and other institutions, they weren't allowed to participate because of all the myths around them. So they recommended institutional care, which the Bridges, we're not going to do that for Jim. We believe Jim has the ability to learn and experiences same things as neurotypical people. So over the years, they went up against the mores of the time, which is put them in an institution and move on with your life. And they found opportunities for Jim as he was growing up. They ended up moving to Austin, Texas. Ed was in the furniture business, so they opened up a furniture store in Austin. Jim was now approaching young adulthood. They looked around the country for a place that could provide the supervision necessary for Jim to be as independent as his abilities allowed. They couldn't find anything appropriate, so they created Marbridge in '53. They had 80 acres just south of Austin in the town of Manchaca. They had a farmhouse. They hired a farm couple, and they taught Jim, initially by himself, how to work a farm. So tilling the fields. They had a dairy farm out here. They had catfish pond. They had a slaughterhouse, et cetera, et cetera. So they were teaching Jim the skills, soft skills, and then how to be gainfully employed and to be a productive wage-earning citizen. From that humble beginning on a farmhouse in 80 acres south of Austin, they got a lot of notoriety nationwide. It was one of the first intentional purpose-built communities to train people with IDD, intellectual and developmental disabilities, to have independent skills to be able to work and earn a paycheck and learn appropriate social skills and life skills. So we started there, and today we are a 200-acre campus. We have almost 270 residents we serve, and we have 300 full-time FTE employees and 700 volunteers and a $22 million budget. So I'm going to move on to one of my colleagues here to describe the ranch community. It's our first community.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So the ranch and the village are our two assisted living communities. Both are licensed by Health and Human Services. In fact, I think we have a state visiting today, so we're, they'll follow up, and make checks and balance, make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to do within our regulations and standards. So I thought it'd be helpful before I go into a description of each community. I'm going to tell you the eligibility for both of these assisted living programs, as well as services that are offered at both. Eligibility for both, a potential prospective resident is going to be at least 18 years of age with a diagnosis of IDD such as autism, Williams syndrome, Down syndrome. They're independent in their daily living skills, bathing, dressing, grooming, toileting, feeding. There's some differences in the housekeeping expectations and like laundry abilities at both communities, which I'll touch on a little bit later. Free of aggressive or threatening behaviors. Now, I know this is a big topic for families. I want to be clear. We understand there are good days and bad days. We have residents that may take meds for anxiety or obsessive compulsive disorder. The main thing is we're not like a therapeutic environment with in-house behavioral support or low staff ratios. So if your loved one needs more support for behaviors like that, we want to avoid setting them up for failure. So we'd try to provide resources if we didn't think we were appropriate. And then, of course, able to follow a schedule and to navigate our campus independently with their mobility. So some might have assisted devices, walkers or wheelchairs, but we want them to be able to follow the schedule and come back and forth. Now, services available at both are 24-hour awake staff supervision. That's direct care staff, drivers. There's always throughout the week and on the weekend, there's always staff here to check in. There's different ratios, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. We provide 3 meals a day and a snack, a menu planned by a registered and licensed dietitian, weekly, monthly activities, both on and off campus. Important for your residents, Wi-Fi and cable TV access. We also have a facilities crew for maintenance. We do resident employment, both on and off campus. A registered nurse at each assisted living during the week that can be on call from our emergency situations. We have a medical director, a nurse practitioner. We can provide primary care physician services for your loved one. We oversee medications, can order them through a pharmacy. They're delivered out here at Terrytown Pharmacy. Dental, vision, physical, flu shots, haircuts. We're set up to do as little or as much as you'd like us to do to continue to support your loved one. We have shuttles and vans for transportation, for appointments, airport runs, employment, shopping activities, and each community director also leads individual program plan meetings with your loved one and the family annually to talk about goals, to talk about progress, and to put their schedules together for the coming year. So those are the eligibility and the services for both. Now, specifically, the slide at hand is the ranch. We have the ranch is our first community of assisted living. It started as 2 dorms. Now we have 1 dorm and 4 lodges. The lodges are a 12-person lodge. There's 2 people to a suite, so each person has their own room, but they would share a bathroom with their suite mate. The ratio is a 1-to-12 staff to resident ratio. And the dorm is very much like a college dorm. Not as nice as the one I was at Stephen F. Austin, but they have more storage space, closet space, and, again, semi-private with the suite mate there. Most new admissions are looking at the lodge, but we do have the dorm available as needed. We try to meet residents where they are at the ranch in regard to their housekeeping and room upkeep skills. We want to provide training to vacuum, to do their laundry, and some advice to parents as you're planning. If your loved one isn't currently doing chores or has responsibilities around the house, I'd encourage you to start some. You can start small, but it gets them familiar with that routine of kind of accountability, and they can become familiar with that expectation wherever they end up. That's an important skill. Also at the ranch, because it's a 1-to-12 ratio, they will provide more verbal and visual prompts to folks. I know you like that shirt. You wore it yesterday. Let's put on a clean shirt. You shaved this side of your face pretty well, but you missed a spot. Let's touch that up. Some of those things that you guys anticipate and do with your loved ones, we have to learn that and try to guide them and help them as well. So that is the ranch. The next will be the village. The village is our higher level of individual accountability and responsibility. It's a neighborhood block of 15 cottages, very much neighborhood feel to it, 6-person cottages. 6 males or 6 females in each cottage, 2 residents per suite, and they share a bathroom. There's also a living room, a laundry room, and a kitchen area. This is where, like I said, a higher level of individual accountability and responsibility. These residents do their laundry. They share housekeeping tasks with their with their cottage mates. Like, oh, this month it's my turn to take out the trash, your turn to sweep the porch, my turn to dust the living room. Like real household functions. We also have residents that work both on and off campus at both the ranch and the village, with the village having more that work off campus in the Austin community. One thing unique too about both of these levels is someone could start at the ranch, become more independent, blossom and grow and transition to the village. We also have residents that maybe they've been at the village but got to a point where they need more prompts and support and could go to the ranch. It's not it's not a demerit or a loss of privileges. It's just going to a setting where you can get the support you need to be successful. I did want to add that the staff ratio at the village, our higher level of independence, is 1 to 24 during the day and about 1 to 30 overnight. Again, both levels have 24-hour wake staff supervision. So it's a lot of information there. Digest it. Let me know if you have questions we'll address later. But if you're a resident at the ranch or the village, then throughout the week you participate in a wonderful program, T&E. So I'm going to pass this along to our wonderful T&E director, Carly White, to explain that program.
Thank you, Will. My name is Carly White, Director of Training and Education. I've been with Marbridge for 6 years, but I've been in this role for about 7 months now. So with training and education, everything that you see here, training, education, employment, and experience, it's all going to be person-centered and ability-centered. So with the training and education pieces, we offer classes Monday through Friday, starting at 8:30 and ending at 3:45. We have 2 classes in the morning, 2 classes in the afternoon. They're an hour and 15 minutes long. Each semester, it's broken down into spring, summer, and fall. And so with those classes, we offer about 75 to 80 classes each semester. Some of them stay the same based on interest. Some of them rotate. We have a rotating system. It just depends on what's in season, what residents' interests are, what resident goals are. But each class is actually going to fall under one of our 5 domains, if not more than one of the domains. So we have physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and spiritual. Residents get the opportunity to pick their classes as well. So this is very person-centered. They get a choice in their classes based on their interests and leisure. Also, community directors have an opportunity to say what classes might be a good fit based on their goals. And then also instructors as well. Some classes may be a good fit. Some residents may be need to move to a higher level class or maybe even go to a different class. And then our employment piece, kind of Will touched on that a little bit. So we have about 80 to 90 residents in total in the village and ranch that work on and off campus. I would say about 30 of those residents work off campus, and these off campus opportunities are hospitals. HEB is a big partnership. Mod Pizza. We have people that work in at NFP, YMCA, gym type places. And then we also have residents that work on campus. We have residents that work at the laundry facility, help out with laundry. We have residents that work at the kitchen, help our kitchen staff, and we also have some residents dedicated to our equine program. That is another thing that kind of falls under our training and education and classes pieces. We have an amazing equestrian program. We have about 75 residents enrolled in that program right now, and 25 of those 75 are actually on our Special Olympics teams. We offer about 8 to 10 sports with Special Olympics, and those are going to fall in. Sometimes we have evening practices. Sometimes they fall under the schedule Monday through Friday. It just depends on the volunteers, the staff that offer those opportunities. And then the experience piece is we have 2 very dedicated rec and leisure coordinators. And so an annual activity letter goes out to families around this time, actually in November, and you get a chance to sign up your loved one for opportunities that we offer throughout the year. And so a monthly calendar goes out. We have things like SeaWorld, Fiesta Texas. We go camping twice a year because we get a grant through Texas Parks and Wildlife. We do bowling, museums, picnic in the parks. We go to sporting events. We have UT games, Texas State games. We're kind of going around to colleges in the area to go watch those sports. A lot of really cool, fun experiences and opportunities for residents to get out in the community because inclusion is really important and special to us here at Marbridge. And then
That's fantastic, Carly. Thank you so much. And I'm just going to tell you that even when we take a break from training during a semester break, I mean, we're open year round and don't close, but even during that break, our residents are so busy with outings and activities to keep them occupied. If your loved one likes structure and routine, we have some creatures of habit here that do well in that, and we can support that for sure. But thank you, Carly. I appreciate that. I'm now gonna go to our Vice President of Operations, Marcus Mercer. He's going to tell you about our third level of care, which is very unique and important to our community. Marcus, take it away.
All right, thank you, Will. Allison, as Will said in the very beginning, thank you for hosting us, and thank you everyone for your attention today. My name is Marcus Mercer, and as Will mentioned, I'm the Vice President of Operations. I've been with Marbridge for 9 years, and so I get the pleasure in talking to you about our villa. The villa is a licensed skilled nurse facility that provides individualized medical, rehabilitative, dietary, social, and spiritual services. The villa provides a safe, loving environment for up to 90 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities who cannot care for themselves. Today, our census sits around 85, or we could serve 90 individuals, depending on where we move our beds and such. But the villa was built in 1982. So while we're celebrating 72 years, the villa itself has been around for 43 years. Fun fact of that, our longest tenured resident within the villa has been there for 42 years, if I have that number correctly. And he was from the external community, so we'll dive into that a little more as well. So while Will gave you information regarding the eligibility requirements for the 2 assisted livings, I'd like to tell you for the villa, residents there, they represent a diversity of different diagnoses. At minimum, the age would be 18. Another interesting piece is while the minimum age is 18, our youngest today is 25, while our oldest is 91. Other requirements being that the individuals be in need of physical assistance with ADLs, activities of daily living. Examples of that may be with regards to bathing, toileting, grooming, and so forth. Also be in need of medical care provided by a clinician, registered nurse, a licensed nurse or CNA team member, CMAs and such. They also have to meet the requirements for the pre-admission screening and resident review, which is PASSAR. I know the question was asked earlier, or it was stated with regards to the behaviors and such, but it still lines up with the same thing as the 2 assisted livings, in which they're, somewhat free of aggressive and threatening behaviors, a danger to themselves and to others. And most of that has to do with from a licensure standpoint. No serious psychiatric and mental health conditions, but we do recognize that that may look different for every resident. So it's assessed on an individual basis. Some of the things to kind of highlight, we pride ourselves in being able to have our rehab and habilitation team on staff. Coming off of the segue for Carly and the T&E team, the villa also has an enrichment center, and they have 2 dedicated team members who provide enrichment services for the residents 7 days a week. Both team members aren't there 7 days a week, but for 7 days of the week, there is a team member there. And they also have another resource, our sensorium, which you don't find too many of those, or snoozling, which you see here in the background of one of our residents that our rehab team utilizes quite a bit. One of the cool things that the enrichment team does, our life enrichment coordinators, they are not your typical activity directors, if you will. Where in a neurotypical community, there may be 1 activity director. We're fortunate to have 2 who have 2 very diverse backgrounds and work very hard to get our residents out into the greater community. So the residents at the villa are not just in-house in the building. They might very well be at that concert on the front row at 10 o'clock at night, as you would be with your children or your loved ones, or they're out and about fishing or at another sporting event as well. The average age, when you talk about the demographics of our building today, is 56. As I mentioned, our oldest resident in the villa is 91 and our youngest is 25. Another unique component of the villa is that our beds are dually certified for Medicaid and Medicare as well. Staff tenure for us is another highlight, in which, you know, the continuity of care means that we're able to really know our residents, as our residents aren't measured in days and years, but really in decades when you really think about those numbers. But we have a good number of team members at the villa who've been there for 20 plus years in direct care roles. Additional information to share with you is that, you know, Marbridge Villa or the Marbridge Foundation, we're one of 3 communities throughout the United States that have the ability to provide support and care in a skilled nursing facility. Us, another one in Illinois called Misericordia, and another in Swaney, Georgia called Annandale Village. And the uniqueness is that there's 3 communities that have dedicated skilled nursing facilities for that continuum of care. We happen to be one as well. We are also Texas's only IDD nursing facility for adults, meaning, you know, as Scott said, we have a specialized classification, and that we only admit those individuals with an IDD diagnosis. A third of our residents are only from the ranch and village. So when the Bridges had the forward thinking of providing a community like this for their son and others, you know, the thought was that we'd have a location for those aging residents to transition into. And as it is today, only a third are from the other part of our campus, the ranch and the village. So that means 70% of our residents at the villa have come for the greater community, which goes back to that longevity. I misspoke and said 42 years, where that resident actually has been there directly from the community 39 years, not 42 years. He's not our oldest tenured resident at Marbridge, but as a resident directly admitted from the greater community, 39 years. We have a 5-star CMS rating. And if you don't know what that means, it's as high as you can go from a star rating system. To put it in context, there are 11 buildings in the state of Texas. And so if you were to take a pin and draw a 200-mile radius around where we are located, we're among 1,300 or more facilities. There's only 3 in the state that rank as high as we do. And you're talking about a nationwide average of about 8%. So less than 7 in the state of Texas. And then you can mine down how many of those specifically provide services to the IDD population. We're one of the last long-term care facilities in the state of Texas that actually have COVID cases. And yes, we very much went through it. We went the harder route, as we know we have residents, they don't have another home. Like this is their home. And so we went through the trials and tribulations there, and happy to say that we didn't have a single resident that passed away. In fact, of our residents who did test positive, because we went through our outbreak, all who went to the hospital that weren't able to be treated in-house, they were all able to return to Marbridge, return home. Marbridge Villa has also been recognized by U.S. News and World Reports as being one of the best nursing facilities in the state of Texas. And then 2 other little tidbits that I think are worth highlighting are that our nursing team, we're fortunate to have a team member who is DDNA certified, Developmental Disability Nurse Association, as well as having a dietary team that got ahead of the curve in implementing a ITSE program. ITSE stands for the International Dysphagia Diet Standardization Initiative. And it's a framework of 7 levels to classify food textures and drinks from a consistency standpoint to meet all those person-centered needs of every individual, because we know just how much we all love our food. And so why can't you have your chicken fried steak just like the next person, but the delivery of it matters to our residents. So I appreciate you giving me some time to highlight the villa. And that's what I have for you.
Marcus, I just want to say this is a big deal, and this is one of the reasons that we commonly, share with families that they should take a look at Marbridge. And because although you do take, you said 70% of the residents in the villa came from outside, they didn't necessarily come from within. But what I love about this is the ability for graduation of care when our loved ones have later in life have higher care needs than they once did once they started going to Marbridge. So I love this, and like you said, it is a big deal. It is a big deal because very few residential living, I call it a situation level, I don't like the word facility, but residential living facilities have this as a component. And then also the factor of taking people that have an intellectual disability exclusively in the villa, I mean, is one of the criteria for the villa, I think is also unique. Whereas, nursing level of care, there's nursing homes all over the place, but they're not necessarily, there's a lot of kids that don't fit, adult children that don't fit the bill for your average nursing facility. So I like that this is customized for that. So thank you so much for sharing that. It is a huge, huge deal.
You're very welcome.
I wanted to add, my background was long-term care administration and gerontology. I worked in Alzheimer's units, and this isn't your great-grandmother's nursing home, folks. It's pretty lively and active and rowdy and fun and energetic, very welcoming. So it's very much a part of our community. We're all one community here at Marbridge. With Halloween, the villa actually hosted the fall festival, costume parade, live music, carnival. So there's interaction and crossover with all of our communities because that's what it is. We really are a community. You're just like in our community at home, we have all different neighbors that are different ages, different backgrounds, different abilities. The life here is really no different in that regard. More opportunities at Marbridge. I'm going to pass it on to my teammate in admissions. She's awesome. Rosie Dunlap is going to tell you about summer camp and also a little bit more about, if you're interested in learning more, what that process looks like. Rosie, take it away.
Hey everybody, I'm Rosie Dunlap. I am the admissions coordinator here at Marbridge. You'll also find me at summer camp. I've been here this spring, will be 13 years. And throughout my tenure here at Marbridge, I've been in admissions in this role. So I definitely enjoy it. I do want to talk a little bit about summer camp. I know that was the topic that was mentioned in the chat and kind of trial stay. So summer camp really is, we think, a good way to experience Marbridge. It's not identical to living here, but it is a wonderful opportunity for prospective residents or those that want to have a fun week at camp to come to our campus and make friends and practice some independence outside of the home and get to see what our campus is all about. So we typically have our sessions for summer camp in the months of June and July. We will be solidifying those dates and have those on our website in February. So keep that in mind, February of this year, you can look for that. But just know we'll do sessions in June and July, and each session runs from Sunday to Friday. So almost a week long here on this campus. The sessions for summer camp are actually held in a camp house that we have. It's just on one portion of our property, but the campers have a chance to experience all sorts of opportunities on the campus and outside of Marbridge. We'll do some fun outings as well. So Sunday to Friday, the cost of camp will also be determined as we get closer to February, but just to give you a point of reference, it was $1,100 for the week this past summer. The number of campers is generally 10 campers per session, and that is the way the house is laid out. We have 2 bedrooms that each have 2 twin beds in them. Then we have a larger bedroom that has 6 twin beds. So we have enough sleeping space for 10 campers. It's usually a co-ed mix, so maybe 4 of one gender, 6 of the other. Depending on the demand, we may have an all gender session one way or the other. We'll just have to, see how the weeks shake out. Ages of campers start at age 16 and up. We really look at fit more than age, but we will go as young as 16 as a starting point for camp. We do have a lot of fun activities, like I mentioned, that happen right here on our campus that our campers have a chance to partake in. Some of our training classes like equine, horticulture, art classes, music classes, doing sports and games in our gym, just to name a few. And then we do some fun experiences outside of Marbridge too. We will go on outings. This past summer we did a trampoline park, arcade. We've gone to other fun places. We'll do maybe something that has to do with food, like a yogurt or snow cone outing. So we try to get a good mix of things during camp to, again, let these prospective residents, these campers, experience different things throughout Marbridge and with their peers outside of our campus. Again, we look at fit, and Will and I are happy to talk to families individually, and especially those that are new to considering Marbridge, what we're looking for. But generally speaking, we're looking for somebody that can participate in the activities of camp, that they can stay with the group, they can traverse our campus without significant, assistance. They can do their most basic self-care skills. So we do a lot of prompting, but we're not doing a lot of hands-on physical assistance when it comes to showering, restroom assistance, that sort of thing. We also are looking at medical fit, so free of medical conditions that would require a nurse being there, the whole time, and being able to consume a regular textured diet while at camp. We, as I mentioned, will have the dates and costs and all the good stuff like the application on our website in February, so look for that then. I will also mention that it is staffed by a separate camp staff, and then Will and I are always there checking in as well. So 24/7 awake staff. At pockets like overnight, there's one staff for the 10 campers. We do have generally 2 camp counselors during the daytime activities, and sometimes with higher ratios when there's, a lot of activity happening. We ask families to pre-pack meds, and then our camp staff will oversee those med administration times. And one thing I think is worth mentioning, just for the week, our residents are very active with their different technologies, cell phones, iPads, computers, all that. But for the week of camp, we ask our campers to come tech-free so they can fully engage and really participate. Our counselors will take pictures throughout the week. We send messages to families so you can keep up with what your loved one's doing. But again, your camper just for the week of camp would be tech-free while they join us. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview of summer camp. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Will or myself. We're always happy to talk more about summer camp and admissions in general. But now I'm going to get into the admissions process a little bit more, because I think some of these steps might help answer some of the questions I've seen come through as well. So,
Can we just talk about the staff ratio at camp really quick before you move on?
yeah, absolutely. So again, at the lowest, it's going to be 1 camp counselor to the 10 campers. And that generally is during those overnight hours. That staff stays awake. They don't go to sleep while they're here. They stay awake. During the day, we usually have 2 camp counselors with the 10 campers. Sometimes our camp coordinator is also present. There may be times when the campers are in a training class where we have an additional Marbridge staff member present. Like equine, I'm there helping as well. So there are times when it's more staff, but we say 1 to 10 because there are true pockets of time where there may just be 1 camp staff with the 10 campers. Okay, so the admissions process. We really want to get to know your loved one and your family and what you're envisioning and how that might line up with Marbridge and if we'd be a good fit. So the first step is just to inquire with us. We're happy to talk, to learn more, to answer your questions, and just try to help you gauge if this community, if Marbridge may be a good fit for your loved one. Sometimes we're not. Will and I try to stay very knowledgeable, very aware of other opportunities so we can maybe help guide families if for one reason or another, we don't think that we might be a good fit. But we encourage you to inquire with us. We do tours all the time, Monday through Friday. Will and I give tours. We like to individualize the tours. So we do them based on our availability, have you come out to campus, see what we're all about, meet some of our residents, see the campus firsthand, and we can meet your loved one as well. Sometimes families like to come and visit first, and they might bring their loved one on an accompanying visit. That's just fine. But at some point, we want y'all out here to see, and we want to meet your perspective, your resident, your perspective, our perspective resident, your loved one. Woo! And then besides touring, we would do an application. That's going to really let us get into the care details, the interests, hobbies, challenges, care details, med lists, things like that. So we know how to care for your loved one and how that might line up here at Marbridge. After an application, we do talk a lot about the financial process, because that kind of, it depends on which community we're talking about. I know there was a question about finances and how we're funded. The ranch and the village communities, our two assisted living communities, are private pay. They are not part of the waiver programs. It is private pay. And to give you an idea, it's about $4,500 per month. That's room and board, it's meals, it's the classes, it's the staff oversight, but it is private pay. So we want someone to understand what that financial obligation looks like. And most of our residents come and live at Marbridge long term. So how will a family be able to sustain that? We encourage families to work with groups like Allison, Consolidated Planning Group, similar, organizations that might be out there. They're a wonderful resource, and highly recommend working with a group like that to try to figure out if this makes sense, if a private pay organization like Marbridge might work for you and your loved one. We also have the villa, which is funded differently. That is the one portion of our campus, as Marcus was talking about, our skilled nursing, that can be funded through long-term Medicaid. And so that's a little different. And that's something that we go through in the admissions process to really make sure families understand and know the differences there. And then finally, the last kind of step of the admissions process is to come back out to our campus and do what we call an admission review meeting. That's an opportunity to dive into all the things that we've already been exploring further, and for different members of our team that maybe haven't been as familiar, have had as much involvement as maybe Will or myself, to really get involved in the process. And again, we're trying to determine acceptance and figure out if we think Marbridge is a place that can meet your loved one's needs and be a good overall fit. So if you have any questions about any part of the admissions process, summer camp, just Marbridge in general, resources, because maybe something you've heard doesn't sound like it lines up with what you're looking for, I encourage you to reach out to Will or myself or any of the other staff here at Marbridge and let us know.
Great. Thank you so much, Rosie. I love working with you, and that's great information. I want to add that about 45% of our inquiries are just people looking for resources and help. They might not be appropriate. This may not be what they're looking for. So I tell you that when I talked about meaningful connections when we first started, Rosie and I will do our best to try to find appropriate resources for your loved one. If we're not appropriate or it's just a difficult situation, we'll try. That's one thing, being here for as long as we've established some friendships in the field, and we'll refer to folks if we can. It's not a competition. It's trying to find the best fit for your loved ones. Now, there's a lot that goes on with Marbridge being a nonprofit. Part of that supports our foundation is obviously development and volunteering. So I've got Bob Warden with us. He's going to explain those processes a bit, and then we'll jump right into some question and answer sessions. Okay, Bob, thank you, sir.
Hey, thank you, Will, and thank you, Allison, again for hosting Marbridge today. I'll be brief because I know we do have a lot of questions to get to. My name is Bob Warden, Director of Communications and Development at Marbridge, and compared to my teammates here, I'm relatively new. I've only been here 6.5 years, so I've still got a long ways to go here at Marbridge. Volunteering is much like Marbridge as a whole. It's very unique. On any given calendar year, we have about 500 to 600 volunteers that come through. And on a regular basis, that's about 130 to 150 volunteers that you'll see at least once or twice a week. We offer anything from individuals up to large groups. That could be businesses, churches, anything you think of, and any activity you could think of. We can really tailor a volunteer opportunity to that. So we have anything from classroom helpers with their training and education department. We have mentors. We have group projects, and that could look anything from helping with decorating, landscaping in classrooms, Special Olympics, you name it. We have really any opportunity that our volunteers can think of. We'll try to meet them where they're at, just like we try to meet our residents where they're at, and to benefit our campus as a whole. If we have a volunteer that comes in and says, I really like yoga, is there any interest in yoga? Absolutely. We can make a volunteer opportunity and sign up residents who would like to participate in any of those activities. We've had somebody come through that has a really big financial background and wants to teach our residents and see if there's our residents that want to learn how to budget, how to tip. Simple things that you and I would take for granted. Our residents jump at those opportunities. So really the sky's the limit at volunteering at Marbridge. One of the coolest things, and this is the perfect time of the year for it, is our Giving Tree program, which is a part of our volunteer program. It's an opportunity for areas of our campus, our residents, our communities, our classrooms, our rehab team, to have their Christmas wishes fulfilled. And that could look like, I want a new DVD, or I need a new pair of socks. They really compiled their own list and say, here are some things I would like to have for Christmas. And then the greater community goes out and fulfills those items for those residents, for those classrooms, for those communities. It's a really great program that we've been able to do for decades now, and that's only been beneficial in making this campus and our residents' life stronger. So I know we have a lot of questions, so I'll yield the rest of my time to be able to answer as many questions as possible.
Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that. And yeah, please, follow this, connect with us on social media, keep up with what's happening. And of course, as Rosie kindly invited you to do, if this looks like something you want to learn more about, reach out. So yeah, if everyone wants to unmute and we can kind of answer questions, people can jump in where they see
I don't
fit.
think that they can unmute, but I do have some questions in the chat box.
Sure.
I know it kind of just depends on the slot. Can you give a rough estimate of the waiting list?
Yes, I saw that question a couple of times. Right now at each community, we do have a little bit of a wait list. Now, we're not talking, I heard a wait list the other day that was 26 years long. That's not us. We're about I'd say at our assisted living communities, it might be like a 12 to 18 month wait. At the villa, the skilled nursing, that's a little bit longer because of the specialized care and just the need. It could be a year and a half to 2 years. However, at the villa, one thing is it's not really linear. Like if there's 20 people, you don't have to wait for 20 spots to open up. It's based on the staffing and the acuity. So that being said, we're not always taking the easiest care of folks. So if we've been staffed for someone that's like a tube feeder, needs total care, has significant medical needs, then we're going to try to find somebody that meets that criteria to fill any opening we have. But as we said, at the villa, we do measure people's times in decades, not years or months. So it's most people that come here, it's more long term. But we do meet each month with the directors to talk about movement, because there's internal movement that happens and creates spots.
Okay, so one of the things that I just wanted to convey, you guys didn't mention this, but Marbridge is a training ground for other facilities across the United States. So we work with people all across the United States. We're domiciled in Texas, but there are facilities across the United States, and they come in annually for this awesome conference that you guys have, and people come together and they share ideas and visions and just what works, what isn't working, that kind of thing. And so I just wanted to convey that. So if you're listening in from another place or another state, everybody knows who Marbridge is all across the country, the people that do this, and they have friends all across the country of other places that they know are awesome that they may be able to refer you to. So I just wanted to mention that you can reach out on that. The other thing that I wanted to convey, because it always, we're the money, how much does it cost? You guys talked about the cost and that kind of thing. But then comes the question of, how do we pay for this? Is this private pay? Do you guys take waivers? And I know you mentioned the villa, takes Medicaid and Medicare, so that's a different animal than the housing and residential arrangements. But for the most part, this is private pay. So for those of you that are getting an HCS waiver or any of the other Medicaid waivers that may pay for housing, that doesn't work here. It is a private pay situation. So I just wanted to mention that to people.
And somebody asked about SSI, Social Security. Well, yeah, we're not an ICF program or an HCS. A lot of it is because we're a licensed assisted living community of peers. But SSI can be applied toward the monthly tuition, and the family would pay the balance. I realize there's still planning involved with that. Also, for those residents who work on or off campus, they are paid now. I want to be clear, it's none of our residents are earning enough to pay their own tuition. So that can be a bonus. I wouldn't factor that into your long-term plans, but just as something that could help them with their personal spending and activities and things. Most residents are working part-time or less than part-time to stay within their benefit structure.
One thing too, that I want to mention, and we talk to families with about, we understand like the difficult behaviors or which may be an unacceptable risk at any given facility. But we always convey how important it is to really share where your child is truly at and what they do or don't do and those kind of things, because it all comes out. And it is really, really important to find that good fit on the front end. And just if you guys go and tour Marbridge and Marbridge isn't a good fit for your child, again, they may have some ideas of places that may be a good fit. And then you just mentioned this, Will, those ICF facilities, they have, basically in the ICF, the intermediate care facilities, they're really, if they have a bed, they're not turning a person away. So there may be more aggressive behaviors or other needs that need to be met that couldn't be met at a traditional, facility. But an ICF options could be an option for them. And the ICF options do, in fact, take Medicaid waivers.
Yeah, that's right. And especially during COVID, there were some changes to help with that. It's, I don't think it's any surprise if you're a parent with a loved one with special needs. Texas ranks, what are we, 49th or 50th now, and waiver services and benefits to those most vulnerable. So in Texas, you have to be an out of the box, think outside the box with your planning. You can't put all your eggs in one basket. And we encourage you to advocate and fight for any benefit or waiver or service and ask why. Why, how can we use this? What can we do? And do your best. That being said, we're set up how we were set up. We started before special education, Special Olympics, or any waivers and benefits. So that's why we're in a licensed assisted living and how we're set up like we are. I saw some other questions. I saw a familiar name there from a summer camp family that asked a little bit about expansion plans, some of that vision with buildings. Marcus, do you want to jump kind of on that? Would you mind?
Sure. And so we've actually put a lot of focus in the last year and a half in our long-term vision plan, people, projects, programs, and partnerships. And so identifying where the trends are, how we can best meet the needs and provide resources for our residents. One of our number one focus is building a new education administrative natatorium building, that can best be utilized by our residents, but also provide the resources for our team to meet those needs too. Specific to the dorm and the lodges, from a wait list standpoint and identifying where the trends are, we're creating models that aren't necessarily at renderings yet, But in our master architecture plan, we do have that in the works and trying to identify where is that need right now? Where is that sweet spot? Whether it's the village or the villa, we know residents who are aging in place, there's an intermediate need, but there's also a need for some of our younger residents who might want a little more autonomy, but at the same time might have some higher acuity needs just from a behavioral standpoint. So we haven't quite nailed down which of the housing models yet that we want to implement, but it is a part of our master architecture plan to expand that on campus. But the first one is going to end up being our a new education building and administration building.
That's
And then
awesome.
building, I'm sorry, that building is also going to be large enough to accommodate some of our partners that we're working with, like Marcus got a contract with Austin Community College to start holding classes on campus for people with IDD. So we encourage that sort of partnership. We look forward to having more things like that in the future. We're also, just to be really brief here, we're also creating business enterprise zones in the front of our property. Currently, they're installing utilities lines, water and wastewater. So we'll have taps at the front of our property as we meet with land developers to find how to best utilize that to produce more income for the foundation and possible job opportunities for our residents.
So we have a few more questions and we're running out of time, which I was afraid we might today. You know, I kind of know the answer to this, but I want you to say it. Do you guys have experience with individuals moving from out of state?
Yes, we have residents from I think 38 other states and some foreign countries if they had dual citizenship. I mean, Texas is big enough. Listen, from Beaumont to El Paso, Brownsville to Texarkana, and every little spot in between. We've got enough in Texas that we proudly serve. But yeah, that's not an obstacle. I've often encouraged families that, and sometimes families wait until I'm going to wait until something's just 5 minutes down the road, from me. And it's kind of like when your loved one goes to college. Like if you find the right program that meets their needs, it's always easier to make transportation arrangements than it is to, find a program right down the block from you sometimes. So please don't create another obstacle because of distance. I understand though, you got heartstrings. It's different. I realize it's a whole new life, but yeah, we have people from all over that come and experience Marbridge.
And I think the
Yeah.
plane right away is real. Like it's not that far. Like I look at that and being in Texas, oftentimes, not all places, but we're usually a relatively short direct flight. And we can often get, so that is a bonus. Okay, a couple of other things that I want to hit on. There's so many questions in
And
here.
I'll tell you, for all these notes in the chat, I will follow up directly. I'm
Okay,
Tammy,
perfect.
Marta, Dory, Linda, Diane. I see them all. I'll follow up. I promise.
Yeah, we're
Alex,
gonna send those over to them and they will follow up and then the questions ahead of time as well. I want you to address semi-independence in the bathroom. Like the person uses the toilet, but maybe they need help and assistance in wiping. Or maybe they wear some type of special undergarment at night. Are those an acceptable risk for Marbridge? Is that I've seen before that you guys have like something where they can pay extra for assistance in that arena. Can we talk about that just for a second?
You bet. Yes, ideally we want people to try to be and just because the ratios that we have in our assisted living. Now, let's be clear, at the villa, the skilled nursing care level, they provide total care, incontinence care, and all that. We do have residents at the ranch and the village, some that may use briefs, but they're able to manage that independently. Like if they wear one at night or during the day, they're able to change and dispose of that. We also, we talked about the villa has an in-house rehab team. We have residents at the ranch and the village that will be assessed by our occupational therapist to see if they can assist with some of those. We found that for some of our folks with Down syndrome that might have trouble let's just say it, wiping or cleaning up after themselves. Attachable bidets have been helpful. That you can get those off Amazon for like $20, and that'll save you some replacing some underwear and stuff along the way. We're finding, sorry, but it's a real question, and
It is
that's
a
a
real
solution.
question. Thanks for answering it. Sorry
Yeah,
for asking the tough
so we'll
question.
try our best, but they do need to have some ability. But we understand there can be some uh, assessment and growth along the way in that. But if someone needs total care, we just our ratio just wouldn't be able to support that in the assisted living.
So for families that their loved ones can do the activities of daily living mostly, but maybe they need to polish or hone the skills, occupational therapy is a good place to start because they can build their skills and become independent in that way. There's definitely programs for that.
I think
Um,
it's definitely an underutilized resource for our population. I would definitely say that's a good start if you have any questions, because sometimes our residents are very clever and smart. If mom and dad are doing it, they'll let them do it, right?
right.
So
This
it,
is
it
true.
happens. So anyway, sorry.
This is true. All right. Well, guys, thank you everyone for being here. You guys sent in a lot of questions. They've got the questions ahead of time, and then Meredith is going to send over the additional questions in the chat box that we didn't get to, and your questions are going to be answered. You guys are going to get a copy of today's slides and a link to the recording. It's also going to live on our Consolidated Planning Group YouTube channel that you can subscribe to for free. I see a lot of familiar names out here, people that we've worked with over the years and in the past. Happy to work with those. We want to meet with you. If we haven't met with you in the past, we want to meet with you. We can help show you, how do we get there? How do we afford this? How do we afford residential living for our loved one and retire and stay retired for 25 to 35 years? We got a lot of ideas, and we work with families just like yours to get there. One last question before we go. I know we're a little bit over, but one last question. When you go on the waiting list, is that when they start doing the financial eligibility, or is it when they come up on the waiting list? That was a question. I know we've done some financial eligibility for you guys in the past. Tell me, when does that start?
We do that on the front end, kind of like Rosie said during the admission and application process. And we don't, we're very respectful. That's a confidential matter with folks. If you've already used a planner or have a CPA or something, or somebody or trust, whatever it might be, we might ask them to just send a statement that we're aware of the current tuition, and based on the planning and everything in place, we've got this covered and have made adjustments for that. You don't have to send us your bank statements or anything like that. It's really just to make sure your loved ones, you've planned for your loved one, because the last thing we want to do is have them here and then pull the rug out from under them because something wasn't covered. I want to say one thing. I saw one question about do we have like a endowment? We do have a benevolent care fund. Um, that's a lot of information, but somebody asked about that. So for residents that have been here for a long time and maybe no longer have family, there may be opportunities for them to apply for tuition assistance to help with some of those costs. So I do, it is on an individual basis and an application process, but I wanted to address that as well.
Bottom line, you have got their QR code on how to get in touch with them. Reach out to Will, reach out to Rosie, go and tour, check it out. And like I said, you will be glad that you did. Make a day of it. If you're driving from wherever you're driving from in Texas, make a day of it. Have fun. There's lots to see out there. They're just outside. So it's Manchaca, just outside of Austin. So make plans to go check it out. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for your awesome questions. And just check your email. You guys will have the slides and the recording later today. And if you don't see it, check your spam. Sometimes it slides in there. All right. Take care, everyone. I hope you guys have a great afternoon, and we'll look forward to partnering with you again soon. Bye now.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.